Wow, I've talked a lot of trash about Harley over the past year, about their refusal to innovate, about the lackluster 2021 launch, and their subpar marketing campaigns. But having just watched the official Pan America launch and looking at the specs, I have to admit I'm eating some crow. Harley actually got this right, and this coming from an adventure bike snob who poo-pooed the Pan America before. I don't want to fall prey to hyperbole here, but this is the most important new model Harley Davidson has released in the last 20 years. Now that's not an exaggeration because Harley Davidson hasn't released many new models in the past 20 years, mostly just variations of the same old touring, Softail and Sportster bikes. Granted, there was an engine upgrade in there, but the models were still very similar to their predecessors. The only other new bikes I can think of in that time period were the V-Rod, the Streets and the Livewire. All sales flops for one reason or another. And the Buells, which Harley dumped in 2008, but those weren't technically Harleys. So why is the Pan America different? Because it's tapping into the hottest market in motorcycling, the adventure touring market. It's also big and expensive, and those are the kinds of bikes Harley likes to make. They're profitable. So will it succeed? Let's take a look at what was revealed about the new bike, compare it to the competition, namely the Ducati Multistrada V4 KTM 1290 Super Adventure S and the 800-pound gorilla of the class, the BMW R1250 GS. We'll go with the Super Adventure S instead of the R, and the regular GS instead of the GS Adventure, as the Pan America's price and specs more closely resemble those bikes. So how does the Pan America stack up? Hit that subscribe button, like the video, and stay tuned to find out. First, let's give Harley some credit. Unlike the last one, this launch video was well done. In it, Harley managed to remind the viewer of their illustrious off-road and competition roots, explain why they abandoned the off-road market, and then set up the Pan America as a return. A late one, but nevertheless a return to off-roading. Additionally, Harley admitted that the Pan America was going after a new type of rider and would divide opinion between the OG Harley riders and the newer ADV riders. While owning this admission, Harley made sure to remind their core customers that they would not be abandoned or overlooked by the company. Finally, the motor company improved its marketing tactics. Gone were the cheesy cliches of a fleet of tractor-sized bikes rolling down the highway and their riders partying at a bar. They were replaced by much more recent cliches of tractor-sized bikes rolling on dirt and their riders hanging out by a campfire. Way to take a page out of Ducati's marketing playbook. Bonus, we found out that Johann Zeist can chase zebras on an adventure bike. Take that, haters who accused him of not even being able to ride a motorcycle. He can stand up on one too. I'm seriously not making fun, I actually enjoyed the video. It hit the right notes of reminding us of Harley's rich heritage and including its off-roading history. They won the Baja 500, don't you know? The company is aware that it was late to innovate, but this effort proves that it's committed to that innovation now. Because commit they did. Let's take a look at the Pan America and how it compares to other bikes in its class. So originally, Harley said that the bike would push out 145 horsepower and 90 foot-pounds of torque. A lot of folks said that those numbers were a pipe dream. But here comes Harley with 150 horsepower and 94 foot-pounds. In fact, Harley gave us something that most bike companies don't, the top speed, which is supposed to be 135 miles per hour loaded down. That's 217 kilometers per hour for the metric crowd. Those power numbers are, of course, at the crank. Expect the dyno runs to top out somewhere in the low 120s. Impressive. For comparison, the Multistrada V4 has 170 horsepower and 92 foot-pounds, the Super Adventure has 160 horses and 103 foot-pounds, and the mighty R1250 GS manages 136 horsepower and a fat 105 foot-pounds of torque. So the Pan America is not the highest or the lowest in power or torque, but it's competitive, and that's all that matters in this market. The BMW, the top player here, boasts the lowest horsepower figure and its riders don't care at all. It's fast enough and that's all that counts. Let's talk about weight because I know a lot of naysayers will be disappointed this bike didn't weigh 600 plus pounds. In fact, the wet weight of the entry-level Pan America is a very competitive 534 pounds, right around what the Multistrada and Super Adventure weigh. I don't want to be an I told you so, but I've been saying for a while that including the engine as a stressed member in the frame would keep the pounds down. So, I told you so. Again, the class-leading R1250 GS is last in this category as it weighs 550 pounds. And again, it doesn't matter to its riders because its flat twin sits so close to the ground and has such a low center of gravity that the bike feels much lighter than it is. The up-spec Pan America Special tips the scales at a much heftier 559 pounds. But that's because it's loaded with extras like a center stand, semi-active suspension, tire pressure monitoring system, engine guards, skid plate, heated grips, and steering damper in case you want to race Baja. Considering the extras, we can understand where the weight's coming from. Let's talk suspension for a second because this is one of the most important aspects of a good adventure bike. The standard Pan America has fully adjustable front and rear suspension. We have compression, rebound, and preload all set to be dialed in. The Special has semi-active suspension which senses and automatically adjusts for the weight of the rider, passenger, luggage, or any combination of the three. It has pre-programmed settings for sport, comfort, balanced, off-road soft, and off-road hard. Additionally, Harley has included a first in motorcycling as it gives the rider adaptive ride height as a $1,000 factory extra. This automatically lowers the seat of the bike while stopped. Very impressive and quite desirable for a segment of motorcycling which is known to intimidate riders with its typically tall seat heights. Welcome to the 21st century. One thing that concerned me when looking at the specs on the website was the fact that Harley doesn't list suspension travel anywhere. I hope this omission is not due to some shortcoming of the bike. I think I speak for all ADV riders when I say that anything less than 8 inches is just not good enough. That came out wrong. Okay, moving on to the price, because this was another area where folks genuinely doubted whether Harley could compete. However, it must be remembered that it's competing with brands like Ducati, BMW, and KTM, and prices on those bikes ain't for the faint of heart. I'm pleased to report that the base Pan America undercuts the BMW and KTM by over $1,000 American dollars, and the Multistrada by almost $3,000. A Harley being the least expensive in class with a base MSRP of $17,320? Now we've seen it all. I have to point out that the base bike comes with some serious value as it will have all the rider modes like road, sport, rain, off-road, off-road plus, as well as a custom mode which will allow the rider to choose custom settings for power, engine braking, lean sensitive ABS, and lean sensitive traction control. The base model will likely perform most of its duties on pavement as a sport tourer with more road-biased mag wheels and what may or may not be a plastic bash plate. This version has no center stand, active suspension, or engine guards and dispenses with the heated grips and steering damper. Anyways, you see where Harley cut costs to get the bike to this very competitive price point, but nevertheless, it's a pretty good deal. If you're gonna go off-road, the Special, which costs $20,000, gives you the aforementioned extras and offers laced wheels and more aggressive tires for $500 and that adaptive ride height for an extra $1,000. There are the usual markups for colored paint with anything other than black costing $250 and the two-tone orange Special going for $350. All things considered, the price of the Pan America is very competitive for what you get. So am I going to rag on Harley for anything? It wouldn't be a different spokes video if I didn't, so here goes. The base bike is very reasonably priced, but if that bash plate is plastic, come on Harley, it's a $17,000 bike. I guess they don't expect it to go off-road much. Speaking of going off-road, the standard mag wheels and road tires on the Special aren't getting very far off the pavement. I guess I'm biased because I like my adventure bikes to actually adventure. However, I am aware that most of these bikes never get beyond the occasional gravel roads, so all things considered, $500 for the off-road wheels isn't too bad. Most riders won't need them. Harley is also doing a little fudging with the seat height measurements. I was stunned to see that the base model had a seat height of 31.8 inches and the Special takes that down to 31.1. Not sure if that's with the adaptive ride height feature. Wow, adventure bikes with accessible seat heights, I thought to myself. However, then I noticed the words laden in the description and clicked on the footnote. Turns out that Harley measured the seat height with the suspension compressed, no doubt on its softest setting with a 180-pound rider sitting on the bike. Unfortunately, that tells us nothing about how the seat height compares to others in this class. Harley should use the measurement everyone else uses instead of coming up with their own metric to make their bike seem lower than the competition. My last negative point concerns the final drive. Like the Super Adventure and the Multistrada, the Pan America is chain-driven, which is the lightest and most efficient system of getting power to the rear wheel. Unfortunately, it's also the most labor-intensive, as you should be cleaning that chain every 500 to 1000 kilometers if you don't want it and the sprockets to wear prematurely. Normally, that's a small annoyance, but on a cross-continent tour, it becomes a pain. This is where BMW's shaft drive stands out and makes it the most popular bike here. Despite adding some weight and bleeding away some power, it's convenient. I could ride the Beamer to the Arctic Circle and back, a trip that will cover well over 14,000 kilometers, much of it on gravel, without ever having to worry about 14 chain cleanings. I'm pretty sure for this reason alone the Pan America won't be stealing much of BMW's market share. It will, however, entice some Ducati and KTM riders. It's competitive on price, performance, and features, and will definitely make you stand out in a crowd. Additionally, it is a good way of introducing North American cruiser riders to the adventure bike scene. I own an ADV bike and a Harley, and I've always maintained that the average cruiser rider may be shocked by the capabilities of the modern adventure bike. And I don't just mean off-road. These things make for great sport tours on the pavement. Bringing a Pan America to a Harley group ride will be like bringing a rocket launcher to a fistfight. It will tear up the road and street glides in the acceleration, braking, and cornering departments while being just as comfortable on a long tour. And it can go off-road, although unless you're pretty good at dirt biking, I wouldn't be riding a bike this heavy like the pro riders in the Harley video. Anyways, there's a chance that a lot of American-only riders will test ride the thing and rush to trade in their baggers. Let's hope that it performs as well as its specs imply. I'm sure the big magazines will come out with some comparisons to the competition soon. In the meantime, are you impressed? Would you buy it? I won't, since I'm more partial to the lighter middleweight bikes, but if I was in the market, I have to admit I'd give it a serious look. I could even get past that weird front end. It's been growing on me the more I see it, and it's not like the competition looks much better, especially the KTM. So drop your comments below and let the heavyweight adventure war of 2021 begin. Ride safe, everyone. If you're interested in any of the gear that Brooke and I wear or use, or the camera equipment we use to film this channel, the links are below. Everything listed there was bought with our own money and we are not sponsored by any company. However, the links below are affiliate links and the channel is paid a small amount for referring you to shop at no additional cost to you. We do not recommend any products that we are not satisfied with ourselves, but we do strongly urge you to do your research and select the correct size for items like helmets and clothing. As always, thanks for watching, your support is greatly appreciated. Please hit that subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. And whatever you ride, enjoy it. Wave at other bikers no matter what they're riding. We're all part of a brotherhood and sisterhood. Keep the rubber side down, shiny side up, and may the spokes be with you.